What is early extension? And more importantly, how are we going to fix it? Well, you've come to the right place because I'm going to show you how to do that today. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Kolb, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Sanford Power Golf Academy. And a lot of amateur golfers. And if you're watching this video, I'm probably talking to you. You're topping the golf ball, or your friends tell you you're pulling your head. But what could be happening is you're extending, but you're extending too early. So let's talk about it right away. So here's what we've got. What is early extension? Well, if I'm set in here, I've got my live view set up. And if you've watched any of my videos, you'll notice that I use live view a lot, not only in my videos, but also in my coaching, because it literally provides a live feed in terms of what we're doing and helps the golfer. So I got the red line right here. When we talk about early extending, what we're talking about is the body moving away from this line, the body extending too early. Now, before I get too far into this, because I'm going to show you some drills to fix it, I got to tell you this. Extension in the golf swing is a power source. And extension, I believe, now you might get a different opinion from another golf instructor, but extension, in my opinion, is a good thing. The problem here is the word early. Early extension is a bad thing. When we time the extension correctly, that's a good thing because it gives us distance. And if you've watched any of my videos, I did a couple of them on power sources. Extension, okay, rotation, lateral, side to side. We got all this stuff. We cover all this stuff here at US Golf TV. So you should be subscribing to the channel. Subscribe to the channel right now because you're going to know all these things as we're talking about them. So we're set in here. All right, so when we got early extension, what we're talking about is, let's say we got a good backswing, but early in the transition, we extend and move away from that line. Now, when we do that, a couple things happen. Number one is the body gets taller. See that? See when I extend, when I go this way, notice my head goes up. This is why I love live view, down the line view, because I can see, all right, I'm good. I start to move away from that line, my head goes up. So your friends are saying, hey, Bill, you're pulling your head. Might be pulling your head, but the reason you're doing it is because you're extending early. The other way you might know if you got too early extension is you're topping the golf ball, but you're hitting behind it or you're hitting thin shots. So when you're set in here and the first move is to extend early, notice where the club goes? The club drops inside here, which moves the bottom of your swing backwards, and people will tend to top the golf ball. So when should we be extending? Well, we want the extension to happen, I believe, right before impact, because that's when we want the speed to really accelerate and work up. And if you look at your long drive champions, your people at the golf ball long ways, they extend and push up, but they do it right before impact, all right? So how can we practice this, right? Well, there's a couple different ways. Number one, let's talk about the backswing. If we don't get the backswing set up correctly, we're going to have problems. Now, here's what I want you to notice. Notice my hips right here, okay? I'm going to pull my vest up here a little bit, excuse me, my sweatshirt. Now, see my belt right here. I'm going to put the club along my belt. Notice the angle that is at there, okay? That's why I love live view, like I said a couple times already, because I can look and see what I'm doing. You want to have some hip hinge right here to dress. See this? This is good. A lot of golfers set up like this. See how the club moved? Like, that's bad. So you want some, what I call, hip hinge at address. Now, why is hip hinge important? Well, because when you have hip hinge and you rotate, what you're doing is, see where my pocket goes, my right pocket? Okay, I got some hinge there and I rotate. Where does that go? It goes back behind the red line. Now I'm loaded and now I can push and then I can extend. A lot of golfers, this is the magic right here. Pay attention to this part. A lot of golfers early extend because they don't properly load their hips in the backswing. What they do is this. This might be you. They set up, one is they set up flat. Look where my hips are already. They're away from, okay, and then they rotate. That's not loaded. So get some hip hinge, boom, rotate, and now you're in a good spot to get going forward and hit a golf shot. So that's the first place that I would look. Now the next place that you want to look, I believe, is in the transition. Okay, in my opinion, in the transition, you've got to have a little bit of bump forward. Okay, so when we set in there, let's say I load the hip, I'm back on it. Okay, in the transition, I'm going to sit. Just see that? I'm bumping, but I'm also loading into the ground. See that? So we set in here. I just gave this tip to one of my tour professionals actually this week. we were working on the drive range. She actually gave it to me. She said, oh, you know what I feel like, Todd? Because she was kind of sliding on it. It wasn't early extending, but she was getting in a bad position in the downswing. And so we were working on that transition, and she said, you know what I feel, and this is what I want you to notice here, watch live view, is in the transition, the right knee flexed. See that? Boom. So they're sat here, I'm rotated, and in that transition, a little flex. Now, why is that important? Think about other sports. Jumping, basketball, right? When you want to jump and shoot a jump shot or whatever, there's a little bit of flex, and then there's extension. Same thing happens in the golf swing, all right? You're loaded, a little flex, okay? See where my hips stay? They stayed on that red line. Then I can extend. What most of you are doing if you're early extending is maybe you got good hip hinge, but you turn right here and you just extend. There's no load, right? So let's go back here. In a dress, get some hip hinge so you can turn into the hip and get loaded. See that? Beautiful position. That's powerful, all right? Number 2 is once you've loaded it, flex it a little bit and then extend. So let me see if I can combo that together. Here we go. Set up. I got my hip hinge. I'm going to load into it. I'm going to flex it. And then I'm going to extend it. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, that felt really good and it felt powerful. So early extension is a problem, not because you're extending, but because of the word early. We want extension, we just got to have it happen at the right time. These ideas and these tips will help you extend at the right time, improve your contact, and also give you that much needed club head speed.